Hey everyone, and welcome back to another chart planning update video. On this one, I'm going to cover a stock slash ETF that I've never covered before. It's something that I mentioned on my last Bitcoin portfolio update video, and I wanted to break it down for you guys today, talk about what the pros and cons are for this, and if it, to better understand it and so you guys can understand if it's something that might fit into your portfolio, and of course, why I am going to be buying this starting this week. So tomorrow's Monday, starting the first trading day of this week, and again, why I'm going to be focusing on this, or why I'm going to be adding this to my core Bitcoin position for the rest of 2024. So I hope you guys are doing great. Before we get started, everything I'm going to say in this video is just my own personal opinion. It is I'm not recommending anyone to buy, sell, hold any asset during this video. Again, I'm just showing you guys what my view is on this asset, my pros and cons on it, and then who it may be for, because it's definitely for me, and I'm going to explain to you guys in a moment. So Proshares, the super trustworthy. They have a lot of really nice ETFs. They have like a really popular S&P 500 ETF, but regardless, they have an Ultra Bitcoin ETF. So I'm gonna start off by talking about the pros before I get into the cons of this. So for example, just so you guys can better understand, let's do let's just go to Google real quick. Let's go to Google. Let's go to IBIT. So we all know IBITs are like super popular. I think the biggest Bitcoin ETF there is out there, if I'm correct. But if we compare this to, say, Bitcoin itself, where we know that if you look at the past year to date, it's this ETF started a bit after New Year's, but it's been following Bitcoin very, very closely. Of course, IBIT has an expense ratio, while Bitcoin doesn't. Bitcoin just has the one-time fee to like acquire it, right? And then IBIT has an ongoing yearly fee, although it's not very high. And then if we compare BITU to it, this started much later, but it does, and I'm gonna go into the website in a moment. It does follow the Bitcoin price by times 2. So if Bitcoin goes down 1%, this will go down 2%. If if it goes up 1%, BITU will go up 2%. So let me go into their website real quick. So BITU, of course, their goal is to just follow Bitcoin at a times 2, um, leverage, right? And then they also have a expense ratio of 0.95, which is kind of high. They do specify why, or they do talk about that this is a. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. The fund does not hold shares more than 1 day holding period. Okay, for any holding period other than a day, your results may be higher or lower than the daily target. These differences may be significant. Smaller index gains, losses, and higher index volatility contribute to returns worse than the daily targets. And then it also talks about. I saw this last night. I'm not sure where it says it now. But as you can see, it times 2 the daily performance of the Bloomberg Bitcoin ETF index. And then if you go down here to their holdings, you guys can see that they have a lot of these instruments they use to track Bitcoin, and they fluctuate daily with how they manage that. I'm just giving you guys a quick brief, understanding of it. And now there's another ETF called BITO. Now I'm gonna just talk about a little bit of the cons. I'm gonna be going back and forth from pros and cons because I'm kind of like all over the place right now. But if you guys look at BITO, the purpose of BITO is that they track Bitcoin futures. So I'm not sure if it's because of Bitcoin futures fees or their monthly cycle. I'm not sure. But if you look back to early 2020, oh no, late October 22 of 2021, it's just been, this asset has just been dropping in price constantly. So I'm not sure if they also have a 0.95 expense ratio, but I'm not sure it's because of the monthly cycle period as well as um, the fees. I'm not sure if that's why this is lacking because it should be appreciated. It should be appreciated well by now. Like Bitcoin has gone up quite a bit since then, so I'm not sure why it's lacking. So I kind of wanted to compare that because um, you know it's kind of it makes me think that like, well, if BitU right here, BitU is doesn't trail Bitcoin exactly because they do have an expense ratio and they cycle through their holdings frequently as well. And this one's a lot more fresh, right? This one started in, I think, the 2nd of April. So if we give this enough time, will it be far into the negative compared to Bitcoin's price, right? If that makes sense. So that's like the long-term risk of it as well. Besides the high expense ratio, they specify. You guys can look this up on their website too. But they specify that they do not recommend or they do not advise anyone to hold onto this long term. But then I'm thinking, well, if this times two the price of Bitcoin, and this is meant for short term investment, so traders short term, um, and I'm pretty sure they say not holding this more than 1 day, so this is like meant for day trades. But I'm thinking, well, if my holding period for this is like 4 months, I feel like that is, I strongly believe that's short term. 4 months is not a lot of time. So I'm thinking, well, if you were to take into account, let's say, the price of let's let's just go to Bitcoin itself for a moment, right? So if we look back, uh, early July, right? Early July to this swing high, Bitcoin went up 30%. And then if we compare that to IBIT, early July is right here. So if we go up, that's 26%, right? And again, Bitcoin trades, of course, 24/7, while IBIT doesn't because it's during market hours, as well as they also have an expense ratio, and they're not going to follow all the fluctuations exactly. But if Bitcoin went up 30%, this went up, we'll say 27%, right? And then BitU, early July, they went up since then, 55%, right? So they went up 25% higher than Bitcoin and IBIT. So I'm thinking, and that's a 1 month time period, right? So early July till pretty much the end of, or yeah, the final day of the end of July. They started up higher before they came back down. But the top of this candlestick is basically 25% higher than Bitcoin and um, IBIT. So I'm thinking, right? Let's do one more comparison. So let's just do IBIT. Let's do from the top of this swing high to, all right, so that's 11% down, while BitU it should be like 22, right? 21, about there. 20, 20, about 21, yeah. So So I'm still really like thinking about it. I want to start investing into this leverage ETF this week, starting tomorrow. I want to put like 3,000 into it, and I'll make a video tomorrow. Whatever video I make tomorrow, I don't know if I'm gonna be covering Mara tomorrow or maybe MicroStrategy. But I'll just throw a quick screenshot on there of a transaction I'll make with this because I'm extremely interested in this stock because let me explain to you guys why, and I'll share the transaction when I make it tomorrow. But here's the thing, right? Yes, leveraged ETFs, just like if you guys are familiar with TQQQ, which is a leveraged QQQ ETF. If you guys compare that to that, we all know that leveraged ETFs actually depreciate over time and they are only meant for short-term trades, right? But then if you have an asset that isn't just currently, experiencing high volatility and just high percentage fluctuations, if it's also anticipated that the underlying asset will go up, um, let's find out what that looks like actually. So if the underlying asset, which is Bitcoin, is expected, or at least I'm expecting it to reach $100,000 by the end of the year, potentially. You can even say 90,000 if you want to be conservative. You guys can do your own math if you want. If you want 90,000, but for me, it's at least $100,000 by the end of the year. And again, that's we reach 100,000 by the end of the year. It does not mean we have to hold 100,000 by the end of the year. We could fluctuate down real quick, and we can be in the high 80s, low 90s at the end of the year. But before that, at a minimum, by the end of the year, we should see an all-time high of at least 100,000. So if I'm expecting Bitcoin to go up 69% by the end of the year, and that's 4 months away, 4 months away, well, I'm thinking if the fluctuations are going to be high and we're going to see a 60+% by the end of the year in a 4 month period, right? That makes me think, I'm like, okay, well, that should make up for the depreciation, the natural appreciation of a leverage ETF. So like, as I continue to do more research on this and as I continue to um, familiarize myself with this ETF, I'm still going to be buying into it slowly. Because also, like if we're if okay, so if I'm anticipating and like I'm just spilling my brain out everywhere, and that's what I love about YouTube. You can just put your thoughts out there, and then if anyone likes it, they'll let you know, and everyone can kind of share their opinion. So if I'm anticipating Bitcoin is going to go up at least 60% up by the end of the year, and we're seeing downtrends right now. We're seeing Bitcoin, and I'm actually going to lower this because I'm already here. If Bitcoin is falling down, and I'm expecting it to be up here by the end of the year, up here. Like this is a really good investment opportunity for to add to your core positions, right? So if you guys are like me and you have you don't just like the short-term trade certain assets without having a core position. So my Bitcoin core position, I keep track of it on a playlist that I created called my Bitcoin portfolio updates. I want to add more to that. I have currently $80,000 invested into it, and I would like to add more throughout the rest of the year, potentially like more or $20,000 more to reach a total of $100,000 invested by the end of the year. But I've been procrastinating on it because I'm thinking like Bitcoin, yeah, it still needs to go up like over 60% to reach all-time highs. But I'm like, that seems like 60% upside seems like nothing compared to you know all of this like insane upside we've seen since last year, and like since the beginning of this year, we've seen tremendous upside. So I'm kind of thinking like 60%. Like there's got to be a way to get around that and like you know make more off of it, since we only have a little bit more to go. We're closer to $100,000 on Bitcoin than ever before, because we're just basically at 60,000. And I thought, well, I don't want to you know put more money into Bitcoin through a different exchange that offers like margin on spot, because I don't want to risk like accumulating. Like for example, if I start accumulating Bitcoin here and then I keep accumulating, and then Bitcoin like it's done before it has a quick like fake out candle, kind of like if you guys look at like right here, there was like a fake out candle before it went up even higher, and a bunch of longs got liquidated, and then like right here there was just like a quick dip, a bunch of longs got liquidated, and then we went up higher, and then I'm expecting the same thing is gonna happen here. We're gonna see a quick dip, longs get liquidated, and then they go up higher. So I'm thinking, I can't. I would like to continue adding onto this position and hold on to this additional funds that I'm putting into it for at least 4 more months. So I'm thinking like the best way of doing that is just to buy IBIT or BITU, because I get ×2 leverage. I will not get liquidated, and I can hold on to this for 4 months. Although it's not ideal to hold on to this for more than one day, but I'm thinking if the percentage upside, and I'm willing to take the risk, like I'm alright putting like over the rest of the year 20,000 into this, and if it fails, it doesn't go up for some reason, because this is not an ideal way of holding up or getting exposure to Bitcoin for such an extended period of time. I'm okay with that risk. I'm okay losing that. I'm okay with the risk, because I'm very confident, right? Like mostly confident that because Bitcoin's fluctuation is going to be um, high, and there's going to be a lot of percentage upside for the next 4 months, in my opinion, that should make up for any decay that you is going to experience over that 4 month period. So for example, just for simple, like just to make things super simple, I'm gonna use hypothetical. I can't speak. You know what I'm trying to say? Hypothetical numbers. If Bitcoin goes up, for example, all it needs is 20% upside to reach $100,000, right? That means that this ETF should go up 40% if Bitcoin goes up 20%. But there is a decay because this is a leveraged ETF. So at a minimum, like if we see some decay, let's say, and I think this is a really good estimate, excuse me, or a really good conservative estimate. If Bitcoin goes up 20%, of course this ETF would not go up 40%, because there's that natural decay that this should experience. So technically speaking, the upside seen in this ETF should be like 14 or 15% additional. So instead of just going up 40%, potentially we can see this actually go up like no less than 30%. That's like a 10% decay over a 4 month period. And I feel like that's very conservative. I feel like it's definitely going to be, we're going to see more than 30%, compared to Bitcoin if they were to go up 20%. So the decay shouldn't over saturate, I think that's the right word, the actual Bitcoin appreciation. So I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna make more videos on this soon as I familiarize myself with it, but I do plan on buying like $3,000 worth of it tomorrow, and I'll share you guys a screenshot of the transaction to show my position. and then we'll go on from there. And then I'll document it so we can see how uh, what my thoughts are, if my thoughts are changing about it, if I'm gonna be selling out of it, and how that's gonna evolve. So I hope this made sense. I'm not like 100% on it yet, but I'm like 80% on it. If that makes sense, that sounds super weird. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully, if you didn't know about BitU, maybe you guys can do your own research and see what you think about it and share what you think about it with me. I really appreciate you guys watching this. This is just a me thinking kind of chart planning video. But yeah, Bitcoin is looking like an amazing buy. BitU should be much lower tomorrow if Bitcoin stays down, like much lower. So it may be a really, really great time to start buying Bitcoin, rather it's through an ETF, rather it's the crypto itself, or if you like to use Bitcoin as a measurement tool to start buying, or an analysis tool to start buying other cryptos like altcoins that kind of are highly fluctuated by Bitcoin as well. Like this is, I feel like, an amazing time to start accumulating some cryptos or Bitcoin ETFs. It's up to you. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one and take care.